Well, hello and welcome to another hardcore Nuzlocke. Today I want to attempt a run of Pokemon Emerald using only electric-type Pokemon. This isn't going to be your typical electric-type run. There is going to be a little bit of a twist because about a month ago, when we did our ghost-only run of Pokemon Emerald, I had a commenter by the name of DieGaming777 say, hey, I want to see an electric-type run, but I want to see your fourth move slot be Zap Cannon. I thought that was a great idea. I'm going to take that idea and we're going to elevate it just a hair by teaching every single one of our encounters the move Zap Cannon. The rules are they have to have Zap Cannon on their move slot forever. If they don't, they're no longer a usable encounter, and in every major battle, we have to use the move at least one time. For those of you that don't know a lot about Zap Cannon, it was a move introduced in Generation 2. It has a 50% accuracy. It is a base 100 power move in Generations 2 and 3, and if it connects, it paralyzes the Pokemon. Very similar to how Dynamic Punch works with confusing Pokemon. It's not a great accurate move, but my name is Zap, and this could be canon. Electric-type Pokemon tend to be very fast and hit very hard on the special side of things. Unfortunately, like Fire-type Pokemon, they don't have a lot of type coverage moves, at least in these early generations. In my Pokemon Fire Red run, we had to rely very heavily on hidden power. I'm not going to do that in this run. We're going to try to use the Pokemon and the movesets that they have available to them. With eating up that third slot, it's going to make things very difficult, and the lack of type coverage makes things that much more difficult. If you think this is going to be a breeze because our endgame trainer is Champion Wallace and his water types, you are sorely mistaken, and there are a lot of hurdles that we have to get through to get to him. Now, as far as encounters go, there are 10 families of electric types from Generation 1 to Generation 3 that we can use in this game. 2 of those Pokemon are not available to us, Electabuzz and Jolteon. A couple of these Pokemon are not available until after you beat the Elite Four and you open up different areas of the Safari Zone, and a couple of them are dupe encounters on different routes. I, of course, am going to put all of these Pokemon in egg form. This way we can teach them Zap Cannon, because Magnemite is actually the only electric-type Pokemon that is available to us right now that learns Zap Cannon naturally. It's not a TM in Generation 3 like it is in Generation 2. At level 50 is when Magnemite learns Zap Cannon, and if it's a Magneton, it doesn't learn it until level 62. So, to make this run possible, we're going to do what we typically do, and we're going to egg up all these Pokemon. The nice thing about that is that does give us availabilities to egg moves, but I don't see a lot of good egg moves in our future. Now, this is going to be a very difficult challenge in its own right. The first gym leader and her part ground-type Geodude make things that much more difficult. So I did change the starter to one of 2 Pokemon, either Chinchou or Voltorb. They're the only 2 Pokemon that I can beat her with, have any semblance of a chance. It was a roll of the dice, and Chinchou is what was chosen. This is going to give our rival Mudkip, which may be difficult in the future, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. So here is our starter, Snacker the Chinchou, with a Rash plus special attack minus special defense nature. It has the Volt Absorb ability, which is great, and as I said I would, it has the move Zap Cannon. This is exciting. I've never used a Chinchou in many playthroughs. I'm excited to use this, and of course there is a nickname theme as well. Can you guys guess the nicknames based on this one, Snacker? Pokemon Emerald gives us 2 rivals, neither of which we can nickname. Now, to be fair, Wally, I'm not going to show a lot of. He's very, very easy, but May here, we're going to see a little bit of. In my head, however, I have nicknamed both of these people Algorithm. Why, you may ask? Well, it's because we're trying to beat the algorithm both in real life and in game. If you guys want to help me beat the algorithm in real life, you can do so by liking the video, commenting, subscribing, sharing it with your friends. Any and all interactions with the video tells YouTube that, hey, this guy's okay. We want more of his stuff recommended to us, please. Thank you. Thank you guys for the continued support. The channel is doing amazing week in and week out. I do appreciate it ever so much. Now, typically, Nuzlocks don't start until you get your hands on Pokeballs. We did get our starter immediately, so my run has started and things go south pretty quick right here with Mudkip snapping out of confusion. Then gets a critical hit tackle down to 6 HP. Yeah, I forgot that Mudkip is pure water. No ground typing until it evolves into Marshtomp. So I could have very easily wiped here. Sitting on 1 HP, I go for the Hail Mary Zap Cannon and we pull it out and we beat the Mudkip. I think Algo is actually going to give us a little bit of a run for our money in this run, so we're going to show the battles. We'll see what happens when Mudkip evolves into Marshtomp. Again, thank you guys for the continued support. Each and every week I look forward to putting up these videos and getting your comments. It is my favorite thing every week. In between the rival battle and Roxanne, there's not a lot going on. There's a couple of mandatory battles. Mostly I just did a bunch of EV training, getting Snacker here almost to level 16. With the EV training I did, Bubble should be enough to KO the first Geodude, and it is. The second Geodude comes out and it too falls to a single Bubble. It should. Zap Cannon doesn't affect either one of these Pokemon, and I don't have to use it at the beginning of the battle. I said I just have to use it one time in the battle. So of course I'm not going to use it against the Geodudes. As the Nosepass comes out, however, I fire off a Zap Cannon that does actually connect, doing well over half of Nosepass's health and paralyzing it. And Nosepass stays paralyzed, very nice. The Oranberry activates, pulling this thing back up just over half health. I don't know if Zap Cannon will KO, but I go for it anyway, and it hits and leaves Nosepass on a sliver. We then get hit with Rock Tomb because it is going for speed control. That's what Rock Tomb is in the Generation 3 games. I know Roxanne's going to go for her first potion, taking Nosepass back up over half health, so I go for Bubble, trying not to activate the next and final potion. Doesn't work. Roxanne heals up with another potion, taking Nosepass back up to 3/4 health. A single Bubble takes Nosepass back down into yellow health. We, of course, get the speed drop, which I think is just insult to injury. I decided to go for Zap Cannon and 3 for 3 with connections on that, beating out the Nosepass and winning us the first gym badge. Now I forgot to mention that we're going to hatch each one of these eggs after a gym badge, and our first one hatches into a Voltorb. Very, very nice. Every time we get a gym badge, we're going to hatch a new teammate. Voltorb here, we are going to nickname Nabnut. Can you guys guess the name theme yet? Little difficult, these first two. Now, Nabnut has a calm plus special defense and minus attack nature. I don't like the minus attack, but it is what it is. It does have the move Zap Cannon, and Voltorb can't learn any egg moves. Now, try as you might, you cannot make everybody happy. Pissing everybody off is super, super easy. I've talked a little bit of my life going through foster care and the rough childhood that I had, and that is the one thing that I have learned through all of this is I can't make everybody happy. The only person I can really make happy is myself. I had a comment on the last episode, or the last video rather. These aren't episodes, these are videos. I love that. I used to do Minecraft, and it was an episode every week, and people would come in midway through, and they didn't want to watch the old stuff. Anyway, watching Nuzlocke's that you don't have to watch the last one to know what's going on in this one, right? That's what I love about these videos. Anyway, the last one I did was in Heart Gold, and we did a shiny only run, and a few people complained about the length of the video. Now, I understand as a viewer of YouTube myself, you find videos you like, Nuzlocke's, and you start watching them, and people kind of fit a mold. Like Antler and Sylph and Flygon, they all do different videos, but time-wise and structure, they're similar. And you want more of that. I understand that, but I am not Sylph, I am not Antler, and I am not Flygon, and I will never be them. I would love to be at their level of Nuzlocking, but I just don't make videos like them. For a very long time in my life, I had to put this facade out and not be true to myself. It was a defense mechanism, it was a survival mechanism, and after years of figuring all of that out, I am who I am, and this is what you get. This is me. This is how I make videos. This is how I like to do things. I do take constructive criticism, and I do change my videos. If you go watch the Fire Red run with normal only type Pokemon, you will see a very big difference between that video and this video. So I take the constructive criticism, but as far as cutting videos down and stuff for the sake of you, I'm just not going to do it. But thank you for the comment. Had to cut myself off a little bit. I was starting to ramble. Anyway, basically what I was trying to say is, do what makes you happy. Be true to yourself. The rest will fall into place. I do appreciate the comment, like I said, but nonetheless, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Now, the Algo battle here south of Rustboro as we're heading to Mr. Briny is not going to be very difficult. Torkoal likes to set up Curse. We have Water Gun now. We can take this thing out. And then she still hasn't evolved her Mudkip, so we should be able to take it out provided Zap Cannon hits. Now, I did want to say one more thing before everything goes awry, and that is I have this switch in my head where if somebody says something's mandatory or I must comply or you have to do it, it just clicks, and I do the exact opposite. I've been that way as long as I can remember. I was raised to question everything and trust nobody and take nothing at face value. And so that is just that defiance in me a little bit. But you always got to be true to who you are. Never make yourself anything other than yourself for anybody else. Now, as we're on the boat heading to Dewford, if we let Snacker out for a little swim and he let off a little Zap Cannon, how many of these water-type Pokemon do you think we'd take out? How much experience do you think we would gain? Probably over level. Fun fact for you guys, did you know that water is not actually conductive? It is the impurities, the heavy metals inside of water that makes it conductive of electricity. If you had water that was distilled or boiled with no impurities in it, it's not conductive. Neither is wood. However, if you push enough voltage, you can push a current through a piece of wood. Fun fact. Now, Brawly is just going to be a straight up knuckle fight, which is ironic because he's a fighting type trainer. Neither of us is super effective against the other. Nabnut is very fast, so we outspeed and drop Machop's defense by 2 stages with a Screech, and then he hits us with a decent little Karate Chop that procs our static ability, paralyzing the Machop. I then go for Tackle. It's doing about a third, and Machop stays paralyzed. We get off another Tackle that brings Machop down to a little over a third of its health, and it goes for Bulk Up, raising its attack and defense. That's a bit annoying, now it's only at -1 defense, so I switch to Sonic Boom, and that is enough to KO the Machop. Meditite comes out next, and of course, as long as we attack, this thing can't do anything to us. Tackle can miss, so this still is dangerous. Focus Punch misses because of the Tackle. We go for another Tackle. It's not doing a lot of damage, that minus attack nature really showing through. But again, Focus Punch is a crazy move. I'm glad we didn't go for Screech turn 1. A third Tackle brings Meditite low into the yellow health, and this is where I switch it up back to Sonic Boom. We take out the Meditite with a Sonic Boom, and we're still sitting at 33 HP as the Makuhita comes out. I go for Screech turn 1 to lower this thing's defense by 2 stages, and it hits us with the negative priority move Vital Throw down to 9 HP. Whoops. It gets paralyzed in the process. Our Oranberry does activate, bringing us back up to 19 HP, but I don't want to risk another crit, so I swap Snacker in. As Snacker comes in, it too gets hit with a Vital Throw, doing a decent amount of damage down to 33 HP. I fire off a Zap Cannon that connects and one-shots the Makuhita, winning us a second gym badge. Do you guys remember my water-type run of Pokemon Emerald? I found a shiny Electrike in that run, so we're going to use that Electrike in this run, and we are going to nickname this thing Tootie. Now, you guys may guess the name theme at this point. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's take a look at Tootie. And Tootie has a naive plus speed minus special defense nature. It also has the static ability. And of course, like I said, it's going to have Zap Cannon. It also has the egg move Crunch, which I actually forgot that dark type is special in this game. I realized eventually But sometimes going from Gen 4 to Gen 3 to Gen 5 to Gen 3 to Gen 4, it gets confusing, so bear with me. It doesn't matter how you play this game, whether you come up and deal with Team Aqua and then go downstairs, or you come into the Oceanic Museum and you talk to this grunt right here. Either way, this game will not let you miss the TM for Thief. You couple that with a Pokemon that has compound eyes, and we can start getting some held items for type boosting very, very early on, and this is a very nice. The rival battle on Route 110 with Algo is a very notorious run-ender for Nuzlockers. If you're not prepared for this battle, it can go sideways real fast. Now turn 1, we finally miss a Zap Cannon, and Lombre being a water grass type takes neutral damage from most of our moves or resists them. Turn 2, Zap Cannon connects, not quite enough to KO it, but we do get the paralysis, which is very nice, and Lombre stays paralyzed. I whiff a third Zap Cannon, finally seeing this move miss, and Lombre stays paralyzed again. That is some serious luck with paralysis. We take it out with one more Zap Cannon, and our rival has evolved her starter now into a Marshtomp. It no longer can take damage from electric type moves, but it takes neutral damage from water type moves. We connect with the 55 accurate Supersonic turn 1, and Marshtomp is a little bit self-destructive, hurting itself in confusion. We hit it with a water gun, and combined with that confusion damage, does a lot. Marshtomp then hurts itself in confusion again. Holy crap. We hit it with another water gun down to low red health, and once again Marshtomp is self-destructive, taking itself out with confusion. That is some insane luck with paralysis, and insane luck with confusion. Her last Pokemon is a Slugma. I don't know why she swapped from a Torkoal, but a single water gun takes it out, winning us this rival battle. It's very important whilst in Slateport that you go to the Pokemart and get your hands on a Harbor Mail. Then we talk to this lady, and she will see that in our inventory and trade us for the coin case. The coin case, of course, is something we need to get TMs from the game corner. There are a couple of different TMs that are going to be very important to this run. The first one, of course, is Ice Beam that we can teach to Snacker, and then the TM for Thunderbolt. We get a free one from Watson later on in the game, but there are a few Pokemon that can learn this move, so we can trade some Pokédollars for coins. Not this person, I do this every single time, and we can take those coins and get different TMs. Thunderbolt and Ice Beam are the two that we, of course, are after, but I am very, very poor at this point, so this is going to have to wait. Watson, surprisingly, is a difficult trainer. Even with our electric type resistance, because we are electric types, this is going to be difficult. I need to set up a little bit with 2D here, so I go for Howl turn 1, and Voltorb hits us with a Shockwave. Again, despite it being resisted, it still does 11 damage, which is decent. I go for another Howl. We needed +2 to our attack, and we get hit with another Shockwave down to 36 HP. We fire off a quick attack that does well over half of Voltorb's health, and then we get hit with one more Shockwave down to 25 HP. Another quick attack is enough to take out the Voltorb, and that could have been very dangerous. It could have used self-destruct at any time and taken us out. Electrike comes out. Turn 1 I go for quick attack. Quick attack takes Electrike down to low yellow health, but we proc its static ability. Luckily I had a Cherry Berry equipped for this very reason, so we cure off paralysis. We do get hit with a Shockwave, which is surprising. Normally Electrike likes to go for Howl. So we're down to 14 HP. One more quick attack does take out the Electrike. Very nice. As a Magneton comes out, I need to swap, so I swap in Snacker on what I thought was going to be a Shockwave. So we absorb that. Very, very nice. Volt Absorb coming in clutch. I fire off a Supersonic turn 1 against the Magneton. It breaks through confusion to hit us with a Thunder Wave. Now it's weird that that actually connects and the other electric moves don't. Anyway, we cure off the paralysis with a held Cherry Berry, and then I decide to go for Zap Cannon, which does connect and gets a paralysis of its own. Magneton, snapped out of confusion, breaks through paralysis and hits us with a Thunder Wave, so now we are both paralyzed. Nobody is winning. I miss a Supersonic the very next turn, and Magneton also misses a Supersonic, so that turn didn't matter. I hit Magneton with a Supersonic this turn, and Magneton is confused and does hurt itself in confusion. I decide to go for Zap Cannon, but I stay paralyzed. Magneton breaks through confusion to hit us with a Sonic Boom. I switch it up for Water Gun that does a decent amount of damage to Magneton. Unfortunately, it hurts itself in confusion, putting it in healing range, so Watson uses a Super Potion. I fire off a Zap Cannon that connects, doing not quite half of Magneton's health. I fire off another Zap Cannon that does connect, bringing Magneton low into the yellow health as it snaps out of confusion but stays paralyzed. We connect with one more Zap Cannon, defeating the Magneton, and that is a big threat out of our way. Manectric goes for Howl turn 1, and we connect with our 5th and final Zap Cannon to get that paralysis and do a decent amount of damage to the Manectric despite it being resisted. We do connect with a Supersonic the very next turn, and luckily for us, Manectric is a little bit self-destructive and does hurt itself in confusion, taking it into yellow health and activating its Citrus Berry. Water Gun is our only option. It does not do a lot of damage to the Manectric, which is a little bit annoying. It of course snaps out of confusion and goes for Howl. Too many of these Howls combined with Quick Attack is going to be dangerous. There's that aforementioned Quick Attack that takes us down to 21 HP as we fire off a Supersonic that does connect. Very nice. I do not want to lose Snacker, so I decide to swap into Nabnut. Luckily for us, Manectric is a little bit self-destructive and hurts itself in confusion. Now I decide to go for Zap Cannon and it misses. This is unfortunate because Manectric hurts itself in confusion the very next turn, putting itself in healing range, and we could have taken this thing out. Watson uses a Super Potion to heal up Manectric very nicely, and I go for Screech. That is -2 defense. I go for another Screech that puts it at -4. And Manectric uses Thunder Wave to paralyze us. I do not have a Cherry Berry equipped, unfortunately. I stay paralyzed the next turn. Manectric snaps out of confusion and goes for another Howl. Things are getting a little bit dangerous. It goes for Quick Attack, taking us down to 25 HP as we fire off the final Screech, putting Manectric at -6 defense. Our Oran Berry activates, pulling us back up over half health, so we can survive a non-critical Quick Attack. Luckily, Manectric stays paralyzed. Tackle doesn't do as much as I hoped it would. This is very unfortunate as I potentially could lose Nabnut here. Manectric stays paralyzed and we get off another tackle to low red health. Manectric fires off a Quick Attack down to 2 HP and we survive, beating out Watson. Wow. Not only do we get our hands on another badge, but we also get to hatch another egg that is a Magnemite. This is a phenomenal Pokemon. You know it, I know it. So glad to have this thing on the team. We do nickname this Magnemite Kazooie. Can you guys guess the name theme now? I bet you can. Let's take a look at old Kazooie here. And Kazooie has a hasty plus speed minus defense nature. I'll take it. Has the Magnet Pull ability, which doesn't really matter for us in this run. And like the Pokemon before it too knows Zap Cannon. With the level cap raised to level 29, we have our first evolution on the team, Snacker evolving into a Lantern. Just before we take on Flannery, we have another evolution with Tootie evolving into a Beastly Manectric. This is a Pokemon I have never used, so I'm excited to use it. And this shiny is phenomenal. That is so cool. Nice. Flannery should be relatively easy with Lantern on our team. Her first 3 Pokemon are going to go down really easy to water, and that Torkoal is going to be a little bit of RNG based. Numel, quad weak to water, single water gun takes it out, critical hit, did not matter. Slugma actually comes out next. I thought for sure Camerupt would because of its part ground type, but nonetheless a single water gun takes out the Slugma. Camerupt does come out next, quad weak to water, so it goes down to a single water gun. This is where things can get a little bit hairy. Torkoal typically likes to go for Sunny Day, so turn 1 I fire off a water gun and it does a surprising amount of damage, over half of its health. We then get hit with a Body Slam, which is really weird. Next turn I'm going to go for Zap Cannon, and if it connects, which it does, we win. Very easy 4th gym battle. Another badge in our pocket and another egg to hatch. This one hatches into a Pikachu. Look at you, Pikachu. Yes, we are going to nickname this thing. We are going to nickname Pikachu a Banjo. You guys should definitely be able to guess the name theme now. Banjo here, as we take a look at it, has a timid plus speed minus attack nature. Pikachu actually has a higher physical attack than special attack, so the minus attack is not great. But it has the egg move Wish, and it has Zap Cannon like every Pokemon before it. With the level cap being level 31, we have a few evolutions as we head to Norman, the first being Nabnut evolving into an Electrode. I'm very glad this thing survived the Watson battle. I have plans for you in the future, friend. You know what they are. The next evolution on the team is Kazooie evolving into a Magneton. Magneton and Lantern are the only 2 dual-type Pokemon we have. Knacker actually learns some Water-type moves, but Magneton outside of Metal Sound doesn't learn Steel-type moves in Gen 3. Still a phenomenal Pokemon nonetheless. To show off just how phenomenal Kazooie actually is, we're going to lead it in the Norman battle against his normal-type Pokemon. Turn 1 I go for Spark, and it does a significant amount of damage, taking Spinda down into low red health. It goes for Teeter Dance to confuse Kazooie, but I'm smart enough to equip a Person Berry to heal off the confusion. Norman then goes for a Hyper Potion, fully healing up the Spinda, and I can get off a back-to-back Spark to take this thing out. We do get a Paralysis in the process, but that does not matter. Out next is Slacking. I figured this would be baited out because of the Fighting-type move, Counter. I fire off a Metal Sound to lower Slacking's special defense by 2 stages, and then it tags us with a Yawn. I immediately swap into Banjo on the Loafing turn, and then swap back into Kazooie on a missed counter. I then fire off a Zap Cannon that does connect. This is a range, but we do get the favorable range to knock out the Slacking. If we would have paralyzed that thing, it would have been very dangerous with Facade, even with us being a Steel type. Vigoroth comes out, and like the Spinda before it, I take it down into low red health with a Spark, and then it hits us with a critical hit slash down to 63 HP. Decent amount of damage. Norman then again goes for its Hyper Potion, its very last Hyper Potion, and we can get off a back-to-back Spark that, just like the Spinda before it, does get a Paralysis that does not matter. Lanoon is out last. We fire off a Spark, taking this thing into low yellow health. We get hit with a very weak Headbutt, only doing 9 HP of damage, and then we can take it out with one more Spark, winning us the 5th Gym Badge. For defeating Norman, we get to hatch another egg, and this one hatches into a Minun. Minun is a Pika clone that is also a gimmick-type Pokemon. I'm going to name this thing Boggy. It's good to have fodder on the team. I'm just saying. You guys should have also already guessed the name theme. I'm still not going to say it till we hatch the last egg. Boggy here has a hardy neutral nature, and again, it powers up with Plus, meaning Plusle and Minun are a team. It's a gimmick Pokemon. It has the exact same moveset as Pikachu, which is why I said it is a Pika clone. The Route 119 Algo battle is not a very difficult battle. Her Lombre is a little bit annoying, but I'm not going to consider this a major battle, mostly because I forgot to use Zap Cannon. We get hit with a priority Fake Out turn 1 to flinch us, and then we actually get outsped and hit with a Nature Power Swift on the next turn that doesn't do a lot of damage, but it is annoying that we were outsped. I hit Lombre with a neutral Ice Beam that does well over half of its health. We get hit with another Nature Power down to 95 HP, and then we can take this thing out with Ice Beam. The reason I forgot to use Zap Cannon is because it is raining on this route. Marshtomp comes out and can't take any damage from Zap Cannon anyway, but goes down to a single rain-boosted Surf. We also have the Mystic Water from the cast form we just got at the Weather Institute. Slugma comes out, and this is where I was too excited. I just clicked Surf, and it goes away. Whoops. We can completely bypass Fortree City and head to Lily Cove, get our hands on the Pokeblock case, and then make our way back to the Safari Zone. The only thing that's stopping us is the level cap, but we can avoid every single one of these trainers as we came to Lily Cove and as we go back to Fortree City. The reason for all of this is we can actually get our hands on a Pikachu in the Safari Zone. There is a 5% chance that we encounter Pikachu, and then there is a 5% chance that is holding a Light Ball. For those of you that don't know, the Light Ball increases Pikachu's attack and special attack. It makes Pikachu basically a glass cannon. I've never played with one, but I thought it would be really fun to try. We can increase the odds of the held items on these wild Pokemon with a Pokemon that has the ability Compound Eyes. The only Pokemon that has that ability is Nincada, and I did catch one outside of Rustboro City early on for this specific reason. So we have a 5% chance of encountering a Pikachu. Now we have a 20% chance that we are going to get a Light Ball. And of course, that's not how percentages work. So it doesn't mean we can catch 5 Pikachus and then one of them will have a Light Ball. The chances are we're going to have to catch 10, 20 of these Pokemon before we find a single Light Ball. There's only 500 steps that we get in the Safari Zone. Luckily, we can pivot in the grass without moving to get an encounter. I think this is going to be super fun to play around with. I've never had a Light Ball Pikachu. We could evolve this thing as well. We've got the Thunderstone from the new Mauville little side quest that we did for Watson. But for now, Light Ball Pikachu, that is what I want to do. We're going to try to find at least 10 Pokemon and then we will check. We can keep coming back. We got a decent amount of money, so this hopefully won't take too long. Even with speed up, this still took about 40 minutes of catching Pikachus, and I only managed to get my hands on 10 of them. But let's go ahead and check the PC here and see what we've got. We can go down into the move items part and just move around items, and oh, Pikachu has a chance to have an Oranberry. Oranberry, damn it. Light Ball, yes. Whoops. Sorry, I need to be a little quiet. People are still sleeping. But hell yes. I forgot that we could just put this on any and all Pokemon that don't hold an item. So for now, it's just going to go on the Electrode. And I did forget to put the Mystic Water on Snacker. I thought I did that. That means Snacker cleanly killed that Marshtomp without the 10% from Mystic Water. That's cool. You can't put the items in your bag, but you can put them on all kinds of different Pokemon, so we could take all of these items. What I'm going to do is just deposit the Nincada in the HM Pokemon that are on our team, and I'm going to go ahead and withdraw our teammates back, and then release the rest of the Pikachus. I don't need the Orange Berries. We have access to Citrus Berries now, and we don't need all of these Pikachus. I don't want to release Banjo, so I'm going to go ahead and add it to the team. And I think this is going to be super fun to play with a Light Ball Pikachu, a little bit of a glass cannon, but we've played with those before. You would think against a flying type gym leader like Winona we would have an easy chance. I'm not even going to use our glass cannon here. We're going to go for Zap Cannon turn 1 to take out the Swablu. It did connect and it does one shot. The problem with Winona's team is what comes out next. She has an Earthquaking Altaria that also knows Dragon Dance. Snacker is the only potential save with Ice Beam. We fire it off, and is it enough to one-shot the Altaria? It is. Beautiful. That is the threat eliminated. The rest of this should be very, very easy for our Electric-type team. She does me a favor by sending out Tropius next, which can also be KO'd with a quad super effective Ice Beam, and it does actually go down in a single hit. Very, very nice. Skarmory comes out next. And this is where I decide to swap in our little glass cannon, the Light Ball Pikachu. We get hit with a sand attack on the swap in, but nonetheless, we connect with a single Thunderbolt, and it is enough to one-shot the Skarmory. Pikachu naturally learns Thunderbolt at level 26, which is very nice. Pelipper comes out next, and of course this thing is going to be annoying going for Protect turn 1. It goes for Protect turn 2, but eventually we do connect with a Thunderbolt despite the -1 to our accuracy, and we take out the Pelipper with a quad super effective Thunderbolt. 6 gym badges in our pocket. Our second to last egg is hatched, and it is a Mareep. Very nice. This is a decent Pokemon we've played with before. It doesn't really come into its own until the physical special split, in my opinion, but nonetheless, we're throwing it on the team, and we are going to nickname it Jinjo! Now let's take a look at Jinjo here. It has a lax plus defense minus special defense nature. That is what it is. Has static like all the other electric type Pokemon, and it has the egg move Reflect, and it has a Zap Cannon. Very nice. There's a ton of stuff to do between the 6th and 7th gym leader, but as we're heading to Lily Cove, we start battling all of the trainers, and Jinjo is gaining levels rapidly. I forgot to update the little side thing there. Still says it's at level 5, but nonetheless, Jinjo evolves into a Flaffy. Very nice Evo. In Lily Cove, I decide to battle our rival Algo for the last time. I want to do some shopping. She has a Tropius on her team now, but Tropius is quad weak to Ice Beam, and of course we're leading with our beastly Snacker here. We can easily one-shot the Tropius, and out comes Ludicolo. Like Lombre before it, this thing is super annoying, but I fire off a Zap Cannon that does connect and does well over half of its health, paralyzing it as well. We get tagged with a Growl, which doesn't matter. I figured a neutral Ice Beam would take this thing out, but it doesn't. It drops it into low red health, and then we get hit with Absorb. I should have just stuck with Ice Beam, but I decided to go for Surf, and Surf takes Ludicolo down to a Sliver. We get hit with another Absorb, which is annoying, healing this thing up just a little bit, but another Surf takes this thing out. I don't know why. I decided to do all that stuff, but I did. Out comes Marshtomp, and I hit it with a Surf. Takes it down to low yellow health. It just goes for Mud Sport. I don't understand why, so another Surf takes it out. This just leaves her Slugma, which goes down to a single Surf, and that is the last time we have to battle our rival Algo. Whilst clearing out the Aqua hideout, we finally have a beastly evolution where Jinjo evolves into an Ampharos. Now, Tate and Liza are always a difficult battle. This is no different. Claydol with super effective Earthquake against our team, we have to take this thing out, and the only option I have is 2D, Snacker, doubling up Crunch, and Ice Beam. Hope that it is enough. Crunch does well over half of its health, and we hit it with the Ice Beam that is super effective, and it is enough to take out the Claydol that is the biggest threat on their team, gone. Doesn't matter, they like to set up. As a matter of fact, as the Lunatone comes out, Xatu goes for Calm Mind, and that can be concerning. Next turn, however, we tag the Xatu with the Zap Cannon that paralyzes it. It has the Synchronize ability, so 2D is paralyzed in the process. Snacker then goes for a Surf, which does a lot of damage to Lunatone, well over half of its health, and Xatu is KO'd. A very nice play. Lunatone then sets up a light screen, and the Citrus Berry activates, pulling this thing back up over half of its health. I then decide to go for another Surf that takes Lunatone low in health. Soul Rock, it does a decent amount of damage, but it's a little bit more bulky. Lunatone then hits Snacker with a Psychic that does a decent amount of damage, and Soul Rock sets up the Sun. 2D then can fire off a Crunch that takes out the Lunatone. Very nice. The Sun is up and Light Screen is up, so Surf is not going to do a lot of damage, so I opt to go for Confuse Ray, confusing the Soul Rock. Soul Rock then hurts itself in confusion, very nice, and 2D fires off a Crunch, taking Soul Rock very low in red health. Citrus Berry then activates, pulling Soul Rock out of healing range, which is perfect, because Snacker, despite the Sun and Light Screen, can fire off a Surf that takes out the Soul Rock, winning us a fairly easy Tate and Liza battle. We have our 8th and final egg hatch of the run, and it hatches into a Plusle. I bet you guys could have guessed what the last Pokemon is. It's going to be nice to have a second potential fodder Pokemon on the team. I'm going to nickname this thing Bottles, and if you guys haven't guessed, the name theme is Banjo-Kazooie. Let's take a look at Bottles here. It has a quiet plus special attack and minus speed nature. Again, this thing is a gimmick Pokemon with the plus and minus. It has the same exact moveset as Pikachu, which is why I call it the Pika clone. And other than fodder, I'm probably not going to use this thing. Oh, excuse me, just trying to get to the Pokemon Center. Excuse me. Hello, sir? Mr. Rayquaza, do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior, Giratina? I'd like to talk to you about all the benefits of joining our cult known as Team Plasma. Don't run from the Lord. You would think Juan's water types would be a clean sweep for my electric type team, but he has a Whiscash that throws a wrench in those plans, so once again I lead with Snacker, And turn 1 I go for Zap Cannon, which connects and takes out the Love Disc that can otherwise be annoying with Confusion and Sleep. Whiscash is baited out next. I go for Surf turn 1 that does well over half of its health, and then it just goes for Amnesia. Another Surf takes it out, so nothing to worry about. Celio comes out, so I swap into Banjo, who tanks a Body Slam decently. Even a critical hit, we would have survived. A Thunderbolt cleanly takes out the Celio, and out next is Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt 2 falls to a single Thunderbolt, and this just leaves his double teaming Kingdra. Now, I think Kingdra is going to go for an attacking move that I can't survive, so I swap in Kazooie, and I swap into an Ice Beam that was well predicted. I then fire off a Thunderbolt from Kazooie that does a lot more damage than I thought it would, taking Kingdra down to red health, and we get the Paralyze. Kingdra goes for double team. I told you, it likes to go for double team strats, and Juan uses a Hyper Potion. I go for Tri-Attack that does connect, doing a little bit of chip damage, and it gets a critical hit. Very nice. Thunderbolt connects the very next turn, and that's it. That was enough to KO the Kingdra, winning us the 8th and final gym battle. The Light Ball Pikachu has been fun to play with. It is fast and it hits really hard, but we have to hold the Light Ball. Without it, it's just a Pikachu. Not very great. I decided to evolve this thing into a Raichu before the Elite Four to get that added bulk, and so we can hold a couple of different held items throughout the Elite Four. And here is the team, all leveled up to level 55 to meet Drake Salamence, Banjo the Raichu with Thunderbolt, Dig, Brick Break, and Zap Cannon. We have Kazooie the Magneton with Thunderbolt, Tri-Attack, Zap Cannon, and Metal Sound. Tootie the Manectric with Return, Howl, Crunch, and Zap Cannon. Jinjo the Ampharos with Thunderbolt, Light Screen, Reflect, and Zap Cannon. Snacker the Lantern with Surf, Confuse Ray, Ice Beam, and Zap Cannon. And finally, rounding out the team is Nabnut the Electrode with Thunderbolt, Return, Zap Cannon, and Explosion. That's right, just in case. Sydney the Dark-type Trainer, we lead Kazooie against his Mightyena. We soak up that Intimidate, which is the whole reason we led with Kazooie, and I decide to fire off a Stab Thunderbolt that cleanly one-shots the Mightyena. Crawdaunt is baited out next for whatever reason. I decide to go for Zap Cannon, which does connect, and easily one-shots the Crawdaunt. Out next is Shiftry, so I swap into our newly evolved Banjo, and it just goes for double team on the swap. I break through the +1 evasion to fire off a Brick Break that doesn't quite KO the Shiftry as it goes for another double team. Sydney then goes for a full restore. Even with the +2 to evasion, we connect with a Brick Break, taking Shiftry back down to red health, and then we break through that +2 again to KO it with one more Brick Break. Cacturn comes out next, and we fire off a Brick Break that cleanly one-shots it, just leaving his Absol. I decide to fire off a Thunderbolt turn 1, and unfortunately it doesn't KO the Absol, leaving it at a sliver of health, and it goes for Swords Dance. Luckily, the held Citrus Berry is going to pull it out of healing range, so a Brick Break can kill off the Absol, winning us the first Elite Four battle. Against Phoebe and her ghost types, I lead Tootie with the egg move Crunch. It was before this battle that I remembered it was a special type move, so we could do the EV training that I needed to do. Turn 1 Dusclops goes for Protect, so we miss Crunch. It is a range to KO this thing, so let's see if we get the favorable range. It goes for Protect, but it fails. We fire off a Crunch, and do we get the range? We do. Beautiful. One-shotting the first Dusclops. Her Ace Dusclops comes out next because it has the move Earthquake. I fire off a Crunch that takes this thing low into yellow health, and then we get hit with that aforementioned Earthquake. Now, if it had crit, this would have easily taken out Tootie, and it could take out any one of our teams, so we had to risk the crit. Citrus Berry activates, but no matter, we fire off another Crunch, and despite that being a critical hit, we still would have taken it out. The first of 2 Bayonets come out next. I know I can outspeed it and one-shot it with a Crunch, so I do just that, and out next is Sableye. Fearing this thing going for a Shadow Ball, I swap into Jinjo. We do get hit with a Shadow Ball, and it does a lot of damage because of a critical hit. No matter, I decide to go for Zap Cannon, and we connect, cleanly one-shotting the Sableye. Her last bayonet comes out and surprisingly outspeeds us to hit us with a very nasty Shadow Ball, surprisingly. But we connect with a Thunderbolt, and it is enough to cleanly one-shot the bayonet, winning us the second Elite Four battle. Now I decide to lead Nabnut against Glacia's Ice-type Pokemon. Nabnut is super fast, but I cannot afford to lose this Pokemon because it is my backup plan for the Wallace battle. Turn 1, I go for Thunderbolt against the Celio, and we get a clean one-shot. The first of 2 Glalie comes out. We fire off a Thunderbolt that does well over half of its health, and then we get tagged with the Icy Wind. Icy Wind doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does lower our speed. No matter, Nabnut is still so fast, we outspeed the Glalie and can take it out with another Thunderbolt. The second Celio comes out and falls to a stab super effective Thunderbolt, and the second Glalie comes out and takes well over half of its health from a Thunderbolt. It then just sets up the Hail, which is annoying for the chip damage, but I can take it out with another Thunderbolt. 4 in, 4 out. This leaves Walrein. Walrein is pretty bulky. It's at this point I decide to fire off Zap Cannon, which does connect, and unfortunately it doesn't take Walrein out, leaving it at a sliver of health. Does get the paralysis, of course it does, and we get hit with a Surf. We survive on 37 HP, but with the chip damage from Hail, things are getting a little dicey. Citrus Berry activates, pulling Walrein up into still red health, so I fear that Glacia is going to heal, and I swap into Kazooie. Glacia then does go for a full restore, but it doesn't matter. Kazooie is an absolute tank of a Pokemon and can take out the Walrein with a single stab super effective Thunderbolt. Against Drake and his Dragon types, I of course lead with the OG Snacker. This is the whole reason we taught this thing Ice Beam way back when. Shelgon goes for Protect turn 1. We can't set up, so it is just a wasted turn. Turn 2, we fire off a super effective Ice Beam that cleanly one-shots the Shelgon. Out comes Flygon. It is quad weak to Ice. A single quad super effective Ice Beam takes it out. Altaria comes out and falls the exact same fate. Surprisingly, Kingdra comes out next, so I swap it up for Zap Cannon, which actually connects, doing well over half of Kingdra's health, and of course gets that paralysis. We then get tagged with a smokescreen that is a bit annoying. I decide to swap in Jinjo because I don't want the lowered accuracy, and Kingdra just goes for Dragon Dance. No matter, because we still outspeed it and take it out with a Thunderbolt the next turn. Salamence then comes out. We soak up the Intimidate with Jinjo. We get outsped and hit with a Dragon Claw. I set up a light screen so that I hope Snacker can come out taking just a little bit less damage from Dragon Claw. Swapping in Snacker, I forgot that Salamence actually has the physical move Rock Slide. So we get hit with a decent one as we swap in. We get outsped and hit with a Rock Slide the very next turn, and it flinches us. Things are getting a little dicey here as we get hit with a third Rock Slide. Luckily, no crit. We survive on 26 HP, and we can fire off that quad super effective Ice Beam that does take out the Salamence, though it was very, very risky. Just because Wallace has a complete team of Water-type Pokemon and I have Electric-type Pokemon does not mean that this battle is going to be easy. I did change up the moveset of Snacker, teaching it both Rain Dance and Thunder, and then Kazooie I taught the Shockwave TM, just in case Ludicolo goes a little wonky. Both Wallace and I try to set up Rain Dance turn 1. I figured Wailord would not go for Water Spout because of our water typing, and I decided to go for Zap Cannon turn 2, which connects and one-shots, getting that out of the way. I'm hoping to bait in either Whiscash or Gyarados, and luckily for us, it is the Gyarados. I do have a quad super effective, stab, 100% accurate, base 120 power Thunder that cleanly overkills the Gyarados. Wallace then decides to throw a wrench in my plans, bringing out Ludicolo next instead of the Whiscash. Ludicolo goes for double team turn 1, and we connect with Thunder to do a significant amount of damage, well over half of Ludicolo's health. Ludicolo then tags us with a Leech Seed, which is very annoying, but we connect no matter the next turn with a Thunder, taking out the Ludicolo. Where the wrench in the plans is right here. As the Whiscash comes out, the rain stops, and we get sapped for a little bit of Leech Seed damage. Without the rain, our Surf doesn't quite do half of its health, and then it goes for Amnesia. That is very, very annoying, and there's not much that I can do. I know that Snacker is going to go down, so I fire off another Surf, taking Whiscash to about half as it goes for Earthquake, knocking out Snacker. Not wanting to lose the rest of my team, this is where my backup plan comes into play as I swap in Nabnut. I go for Explosion, taking myself out, but taking the Whiscash with me. It was a valiant sacrifice, and Nabnut knew what he was getting himself into when we came into this battle. I bring out Kazooie because the last two Pokemon that Wallace has is Tentacruel and Melodic. Both of them have Toxic. They like to go for it. Neither one of them can do anything against my Steel typing. As a matter of fact, we fire off a Stab Super Effective Thunderbolt, and it cleanly one-shots the Tentacruel. We gain a level to level 56 to get a little bit more attack power as the Melodic comes out. We hit it with a Thunderbolt, and it's not enough to one-shot it, leaving it in red health, as we get tagged with a very nasty Surf down to 57 HP. Citrus Berry pulls this thing out of healing range, which is amazing for us because we can fire off another Thunderbolt, and we have defeated the champion Wallace and become the Pokemon League champion of the Hoenn region. Despite a few things being stacked against us, I had a ton of fun in this run, and the RNG was really in our favor. Zap Cannon managed to hit more times than it missed, which was extremely nice. We didn't have to use Hidden Power. We used all of these Pokemon at full potential, and every single one of them helped us along the way. Luckily, we didn't lose Nabnut in the Watson battle, because I think the Wallace battle would have went very, very differently, all of these Pokemon being special attackers. We didn't lose our two backup Pokemon. They were on our teams at various times. You just never saw it because they were things like the Magma Hideout, the Aqua Hideout. However, we had a very, very good team, and I had a lot of fun doing this run. Zap Cannon is a really good move. It moves to base 120 power after this generation, so it's the same base power as Thunder, but no way to make it perfectly accurate. Thanks again for the continued support. Thanks for the suggestion in this video, and I look forward to the next run. I don't do these runs in any particular order. I have all of the different suggestions wrote down, and all I do is look at my list and go, yeah, we're going to do that run. That's how we started doing this one. It was a month ago this one was suggested, so if you make a suggestion and you don't see it in the next couple of runs, don't get discouraged. It is on a piece of paper, and we will do it eventually. Nonetheless, I do need to get this one done and uploaded, so that's enough of me waffling on. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one.